The most outrageous campaign in American political history has come to an end. From rallies, to interviews, to podcasts, to speeches, this has been one wild ride. Somewhere in the middle of Trump calling out Harris for partying in the middle of a war, and Harris calling Trump an unhinged man, the voters made their decision. But even after that, the debate continues. Congratulations to Mr. Donald Trump for once again winning the political race and becoming the 47th president of the United States of America. Now, the race may have come to an end, but the debate has not. Piers Morgan recently invited Katie Pavlich, Francesca Fiorentini, Ashley St. Clair, and Wajat Ali to his channel. The episode started with the Trump versus abortion debate. Because, as unbelievable as it might sound, a lot of women refuse to vote for Trump because of his stance on abortion. It is funny how the woke mob refuses to acknowledge his efforts for the United States just because he has his own opinion. And the irony is that that opinion that saves a lot of lives is looked down on. This is what Francesca Fiorentini had to say about this.
So women are truly voting for their lives, and also for the judges. You know, this law, the Texas Heartbeat Law, had gone through multiple federal courts and met Trump-appointed judges at every single stage. So women aren't just voting for their lives; they are also voting to reclaim a certain amount of representation in our justice system.
But the other party they're supporting is supporting this. The hypocrisy is so sheer that they want women to have the freedom to choose to give birth, while forgetting that they're also advocating for this. This is just one of many examples where women lost their rights and their chances to trans men. And it's not just about losses, it's about comfort. Women in sports, in locker rooms, and even in prison are forced to share their personal spaces with biological men. But because they can never acknowledge reality like these, things get heated up when Ashley St. Clair countered Fiorentini.
The doctor's not saving the life of the mother. They all have exceptions for that.
Will any of that bring back these women who've lost their lives?
Your issue is with the doctors, not with abortion
No. My
laws.
issue is with Attorney General Ken Paxton. My issue is with Republican lawmakers across this country who are ensuring that, for example, the Biden administration cannot enforce federal law that says you cannot turn away a woman at an emergency room who is going through an obstetric nightmare.
They already have that law.
Who is going into sepsis.
Exceptions to save the life of the mother.
I love that, like, in your little hypothetical world, all these exceptions save lives.
That is the law.
But
that is the law.
It's
that's
not
not
the law.
hypothetical. That's the law. And the doctors.
It is the law. And Biden has tried to enforce it.
The problem is that their sheltered life so blinds the woke mob that they refuse to acknowledge that these are problems in the world. They associate women, democracy, and people of color with Harris. But at the same time, they don't care when the same women are being forced to do things that they don't want to.
Kamala Harris is going to win. The X factor is going to be women, independents, Republicans voting against Trump, and people of color.
Can I just talk about the mechanics of this for a second? Because it's obviously an emotional topic. There are millions of women who are not voting on abortion. There are actually a ton of women who are voting on this issue of allowing grown men into their locker rooms and the safety of female athletes, not just on the field, but also the sexual harassment and potential sexual assault that they are put into a position to possibly receive as a result of these woke ideologies where men can just say that they're women and all of a sudden you're forcing women with no consent to allow them into their previously safe spaces.
Thank you, Katie, for saying this, because it is sad that people don't realize how insensitive they're being when they invalidate people's experiences. Francesca was on a roll with her unreasonable arguments because the next thing she brought up was this.
And I think this campaign's gone kind of off the rails with, like, comparing Donald Trump to Hitler. And so I want to say I condemn anyone that makes those comparisons because I don't think they're fair. So will you join me in condemning anyone who compares Donald Trump to Hitler?
Yes, including J.D. Vance.
Yes. And
is that what you're about to say?
Let's condemn Donald Trump for comparing Donald Trump to Hitler and saying he would like Hitler's generals.
Remember when Kamala and her whole party compared Trump to Hitler? Yeah, that's what she's condemning, but is she really condemning it? Because the next thing she brought up was condemning Trump as well. Now, I'm not necessarily supporting Trump's stance in any way, but what I would like to point out here is Francesca's hypocrisy. Because all Trump did was quote something that Hitler said. Does that mean that the Democrats now have the right to call him the next Hitler?
People being mass
I'm going to
deported
ask
due to
any
the American
panelist
economy.
what I see fit. Let me bring in Katie. You were saying, oh my God, and I kind of feel the same. It's like the moment we start debating the comparisons with Trump and Hitler, my heart just goes off the God's
It's because you
sake.
can't condemn Donald Trump for
Your
comparing
name last
himself
time
to
I checked
Hitler.
isn't Katie.
You just can't do it.
Your
You
name
can't
isn't
do it.
Katie.
Talking over people's words, not letting someone complete their sentences, and trying to dominate others by talking loudly, all of this is making it hard for me to believe that she's a professional journalist rather than just a political activist.
Finish what I'm saying.
Here's
what I'm saying. Actually, I like Donald Trump's
Let me
policies.
include
Hang
one
on,
more
wait,
line,
let
then
me
you
just
answer.
say, no.
Let me include one more line. Trump has started doing at the start of every rally in the last 2 days.
Threatening
the
Liz
same,
Cheney.
No, the same sentence where he just says...
Wanting to protect women without their will.
No. Same sentence. He says, do you feel better off than you did 4 years ago?
Can she please let Morgan complete what he wants to say? Watching her seems like watching a toddler talk. Can we please stop platforming her? She's rude, she interrupts, she makes personal attacks, and she can never be sensitive about others. We viewers really deserve better than watching her speak. And then she had the audacity to say this at the start of the episode.
We've never met in person. Lovely to see you.
Are you going to interrupt me as much as you do virtually,
It's more
but in
difficult when
person?
With your way of putting your point forward, you deserve to be interrupted by Miss Fiorentini.
Have you seen the comment section? These people are going to be going at me. Have you seen your own comment section? Do you know the kind of hatred that I get from appearing on this show?
I mean, with your opinions and without logic, don't you think it's fair? And weren't you proud of your choices? So why does the hatred matter? And for someone who was hating on Trump for literally an hour, this must have taken a lot of audacity to admit.
So in terms of a wealth transfer, Kamala Harris's policies would put more
And you
money
don't
in
think any
working class
billionaires
people's
are in her
pockets.
camp?
Really, after all that whole "I belong to a middle-class family and I used to work at McDonald's" scam, they still believe somehow that she's better for America's economy. And that's just straight up delusional, because even if you're not a Trump fan, you have to accept that Trump had resources that Kamala will never have access to.
I'll bring you in here.
Sure.
Is that you all brand yourselves as the nice party?
Yeah.
You're the nice people. It's Trump's horrible, ugly rhetoric. But meanwhile, he's a Nazi, he's a fascist, you're all garbage. Every 18-year-old who's on the...
Oh God, finally! I was wishing someone would say that. It was interesting at first, but now it's like watching a sitcom with one good and one bad character. And conveniently enough, the Democrats are portrayed to be the good ones. What they've done is nothing but worsen America's condition. From justifying illegal immigration to advocating morally wrong policies, they have done everything in their power to ruin American history.
I'm
Scott,
trying
you
to tell
say
you
it,
that
and
there
everybody
aren't
agrees
enough
with you.
young men who are being sort of inculcated into the Andrew Tate, Joe Rogan world fast
Tate is not
enough.
No
Fast
comparison between
enough to
Andrew
vote.
Tate and Joe Rogan. No comparison at all.
No.
They do not espouse the same philosophies about almost anything.
If she had half the intelligence that she thinks she has, she would make so much more sense. Because comparing Andrew Tate and Joe Rogan and comparing them when there's literally no comparison is so dumb.
Here's what I will say. I like his
a lot of
strategy. I like his
let me respond.
strategy.
Hang on.
of going
Can I
from
let
being
Wajah,
RFK
the only
Jr.
oppressed man on the panel?
Good to know that Ashley's is as done with Francesca as we are. I mean, if I had to sit next to this woman speak with no logic for literally an hour, I'd be pissed too. But yes, I could definitely relate to her.
But then, just when you really want him to pop up again, there's old Biden, old Sleepy Joe, saying he wants to. They said the kind of guys like Trump and MAGA are the kind of guys you want to smack in the ass. He's the president of the United States,
God, he and
advocating physical violence against tens of millions of Americans. Is that advisable either?
Good thing this was brought up, because after bashing Trump for having violent rhetoric, they really needed this reality check.
I believe Kamala Harris, I'm going to say it in front of the camera, is going to win tomorrow, and if I'm wrong, he's buying me halal crow, which I will eat on your
Yes,
side.
I am. All right, Katie.
Halal crow.
It's amazing how the left gets to cherry pick the political violence. On January 6th, it was roundly condemned by the right.
Not by Donald Trump.
And previously, the left was willing to allow people out of their COVID restrictions in the summer when they were firing people and not allowing people to go see their grandmothers in their nursing homes when they were dying, but
Katie,
you were
is that
allowed
the
to
same
go.
as
You're
January
allowed to
6th?
go.
I don't want to interrupt
you
you,
were
but
allowed, but you are interrupting
No,
me.
but you bring
If
up
so,
two ridiculous
if you would
points.
let
Allow Katie
me
to finish.
finish.
Why did January 6th happen?
Hang
tell
on,
me.
hang on. Sorry,
No,
Katie.
we had
I should let Katie
the
finish
most
her point.
violent political riots in the history of America. Dozens of people killed, businesses destroyed, cities completely hollowed out, and they still have not recovered.
When was that?
And yet, in the summer of 2020, and
That
when
is a lie.
President Trump tried to do something about it, the left protested and said these people they're doing it for the right political reason, and therefore it's allowed.
For someone who claims that Biden did great stuff for America, I've never heard him talk about this. We all remember the January 6th so-called insurrection, where Trump supporters went out to the Capitol building and rioted. They believed that the election was stolen from Trump, and so they vandalized the Capitol building as well. It was chaos. A lot of people were injured, and some people may have even lost their lives. And we would never advocate for something like that. Having your own political choices is fine, but causing such violent acts is never okay, and we know that. And we acknowledge that it was wrong. But the double standards are astounding. While they have always bashed Trump for his choices, I just want to know, what about allowing protests during COVID? Well, apparently that was okay, because it fed their convenient narratives. People could have died back then as well, and there were restrictions, and even mere close contact could be deadly. But they didn't care about that. Despite there being a lockdown and social distancing rules that didn't even let people visit their families, the Democratic Party willingly bent the rules for the protests. Now, the last part of this episode was going to be more focused on the what-ifs of Trump or Harris winning or losing, but that doesn't really matter anymore now, does it? Because now we have a winner, and that is Donald Trump, the 47th President of the United States of America.
When the Supreme Court has given immunity, presidential immunity, to obviously Biden now, but also Donald Trump, and specifically in the case of whether Trump's actions on January 6th rose above the law effectively, and it was okay for him.
This is what Fiorentini had to say when peers asked about Trump potentially winning the election. See, this is what we're talking about. Yes, Trump possibly defied the law on January 6th, and that was wrong. But should that see him being kicked out of the presidential race while just ignoring what the Democratic Party did? Now the violence is bad on both sides. Let's say hypothetically that we don't have the results yet. Do you really believe that Harris could have made America better? With her scripted interviews and her false narratives, she's someone who can't even answer an interviewer without her earpiece telling her what to do. Do you really think she could manage an entire country? I almost felt bad for the rest of the panel. Because Francesca didn't let anyone else speak. And, once again, Francesca did not let anyone else speak. I mean, Katie and Wajat got to put a few of their opinions forward. But geez, Ashley couldn't even complete one of her sentences. Now, on a lighter note, it looks like The Simpsons didn't get this one right, because now we're looking at a future with Trump's presidency. But jokes aside, the United States of America really direly needed a good leader. Although the time to make your decision has passed, I want to know, were you on Team Harris or were you on Team Trump? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like the video, make sure to subscribe to our channel. See you in the next one.